Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Now that the situation in the Middle East is about to hit the fan, I think I will use this information that I had and I still have and share it with you. Maybe some of you are aware of it, and I'm glad if you are. And that is how John F. Kennedy, the one that was assassinated in 1963, demanded from the state of Israel to allow American inspectors to their nuclear facility in Israel. And that happened in the summer, and JFK was killed by Oswald in November 22nd, if I remember correctly, 1963. So I have here an article where I'm going to show you what JFK demanded, how he demanded it. Then I have a few articles just to give you a little. I have another article actually, not about the nuclear weapons, Israel's alleged nuclear weapons, but some articles where they talk about how Israel might have acquired nuclear know-how. They did it with the French and the Brits, the Americans closed their eyes and all that. But nevertheless, I will give you some articles coming from some Israeli sources as well. And the other one I will show you, it's an executive order 11110, which again, it was signed by then President JFK again, attacking the Federal Reserve Bank, trying to get its power into the hands of the US Treasury. So from a private bank, which is the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a system made by 10 private banks, he wants to take a little bit of the power, and he issued that executive order, which after his death in November 1963, I think in March 1964, it was repealed. It was taken away. So it took this guy, 4 months, 5 months, because it got December, January, February, and in March they fucked it up. So it took them 3 months to have the new administration, Lyndon Johnson Weasel, to repeal that executive or destroy that executive order. So let me start with this article first. And this is just a nice explanation. I mean, the facts are there. It's just that this explains beautifully. You can find the information on this situation or this demand. And the title this is from 2015, doesn't really matter, it's still valid. When a US president demanded inspections of a nuclear facility in the Middle East, parentheses, and failed. Yeah. And then Oswald killed him. Or the mafia. Blah, 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 blah. In July 1963, and then it was August, September, October, and November was fucked. So in July 1963, President Kennedy demanded, that's the word, of the newly elected Israeli Prime Minister that he allows US inspections of the Israeli nuclear facility in Dimona to make sure that the plant was devoted exclusively to peaceful purposes. Like this guy's demand of Iran nowadays. We thought IAEA, America will do this, will stop. And Iran allowed all these weasels to check it out. US support for Israel would be, quote unquote, seriously jeopardized if the US could not get information on doings at the facility, Kennedy said. So Israel obviously allowed the inspections, right? Oswald killed him, so yeah. Kennedy stated his demands in a letter to Levi Eshkol, whatever, dated July 5, 1963, less than 10 days after Eshkol became Prime Minister of Israel. The document is in the Israel State Archive and is online at National Security Archive in a section titled Israel and the Bomb. This is Kennedy's letter, page 1, and you can read it, and I don't see a signature. Anyway, text below, thanks BBB to the Jewish Virtual Library. This guy, author of Israel and the Bomb, writes at the National Security Archives, not since President Eisenhower's message to David Ben-Gurion in the midst of the Suez Crisis in November 1955-56 had an American president been so blunt with an Israeli prime minister. Kennedy told Ex-Col that the American commitment and support of Israel could be seriously jeopardized, end quote, if Israel did not let the United States obtain, quote-unquote, reliable information about Israel's efforts in the nuclear field. In the letter, Kennedy presented specific demands on how the American inspection visits to Dimona should be executed, since the United States had not been involved in the building of Dimona, France was, and no international law or agreement had been violated. Kennedy's demands were indeed unprecedented. They amounted, in effect, to American ultimatum. Okay, so, but hey, remember the ally thing? Israel is our ally. Don't you think that if an ally demands, because without that ally, basically, I don't know if you can do much. Now you can, because of that Dimona. So that's the first article that I wanted to show you. And you can read on your own further if you were unaware of this piece of information. Now let's go to the Executive Order 11110. Here, Executive Order 11110, and was issued by US President JFK on June 4th, 1963. June 4th. And this was instituted what? Where is it? I already passed, probably. July 5. So he was very active, busy bee, Kennedy. This executive order, amended Executive Order 10289 from 51, by delegating the Secretary of the Treasury the President's authority to issue silver certificates under the Thomas Amendment, as amended by Gold Reserve Act. The order allowed the Secretary to issue silver certificates, if any were needed, during the transition period under President Kennedy planned to eliminate silver certificates and the use of Federal Reserve notes. So we're going to go down here, because obviously they have something. Revocation. In March 64, so this was in 63, issued, he was killed in November 22, and in March, Secretary of Treasury Douglas Dillon halted redemption of silver certificates for silver dollars. Great, right? And then in 68, all redemption in silver ceased, and then we got a petrodollar with Mr. Nixon. Correct? You got here, right here, you got more than that. Now we're going to go to JFK assassination theory. Jim Marrs, in his book Crossfire, presented the theory that Kennedy was trying to rein in the power of the Federal Reserve, and that forces opposed to such action might have played at least some part of the assassination. Marrs alleges that the issue of Executive Order 111101111 was an effort by Kennedy to transfer power from Federal Reserve to United States Department of Treasury by replacing Federal Reserve notes with silver certificates. Now, author Richard Belzer named the responsible parties in this theory as, and I'm quoting, American billionaires, power brokers, and bankers working in tandem with the Oswald and other sympathetic agents of the government. All right, now, what do you think? All right, now, that's a fantastic free song. So, I'm not saying that this happened or not, but I can bring more Oswalds into play when I think about the demand, when I think about this order issued. And that is not all, I will show you a few articles where you can look into how Israel acquired its, how should I put it, nuclear program. Here, first article. Interesting engineering. What we already know about Israel's quote-unquote secret nuclear program. Okay, and you can read this at your own pace. And it says here that they say raging for this and raging for this and this and that. And you can find out that you got France, and then you got the Brits and the Americans closing an eye on that. So this is it. This is one of it. I'm sorry. The cooperation faced obstacles when Charles de Gaulle became president of France and ended French assistance to Israel in 1966. Well, it's okay. They figured things out. Israel also received covert help from Britain and Norway, who supplied it with restricted materials and heavy water vital for reactor operations. Remember, it was France who helped, and the program built that reactor, and then these guys the cooperation peaked in 1957 when France agreed to build a nuclear reactor and a reprocessing plant in Israel, a decision motivated by geopolitical and scientific interest. Correct. Let's move on. This comes from the Times of Israel. This is April 18, 2024. Oh no, that's I think this. It can't be the coincidence. No, I was like, what the fuck is such a coincidence? No, this is September 29, 2016. And I'm quoting the headline, a backdated deal with a toppled French Prime Minister. How Perez secured Israel's nuclear deterrent. This is what they say. So they acquired a nuclear deterrent? What do you mean? A tale of Paris' consent to build a plutonium reactor for the Jewish state 60 years ago illustrates the indefatigable young Shimon Peres's capacity to achieving the seemingly impossible. Well, if you know people in good places. And this is, so read this one. This is very interesting. From their own mouth. The Guardian. This is, again, from some time ago, from 2014. And this is the title. The Truth About Israel's Secret Nuclear Arsenal. So this is a statement. I don't see could, might, possible, never. Israel has been stealing, I'm quoting these guys as Israel has been stealing nuclear secrets and covertly making bombs since the 1950s, this guy says. Julian Borger, I should remember his name is still alive, and Western governments, including Britain and US, turn a blind eye. But how can we expect Iran to curb its nuclear ambitions if the Israelis won't come clean? Well, are you still working somewhere, man? Or you're dead? So he used to be, I don't know if he's still around. Oh, right here. He is still around, it seems like. He's the Guardian's World's Affair editor. He has previously a correspondent. All right, he right here. These are from here, from his. So remember this guy, Julian Borger, whatever. So this is just an informative video, so you can look into this and maybe make your own assessments and see things from a different angle regarding Israel's, let's use some euphemisms, nuclear program, how it acquired it, all illegal. Then JFK saying, no, I gotta check it out. Then Oswald killed him. And also, if it's and, it's also. Retard. It seems like I was about to say it again. And the executive order 11110 from, June 1963, regarding getting the power from the Federal Reserve Bank. That's why, little by little, also his brother, who was assassinated, wanted to do the same thing with the Federal Reserve Bank, but the forces were too strong. And he also got assassinated by another crazy, Shiram, right? Man, but nowadays all these guys are just not there. I think our services are so strong that they can stop, prevent, but we don't know about these heroes. Who? There are some of them over there. So very good, very good, very good. There's something else I want to tell you about. Yes, I remembered, because I forgot. This is one reason why, this being the Federal Reserve so-called bank, which is a private bank, it's a system made out of 10 private banks, and who set the interest rates and others for the not good, not good. Anyway, this gets me to my favorite US president, which I mentioned a few times already. The only, or one of the, or the, for me is the best, was Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson fought the bank and he killed the bank. They tried many, many times before to institute a Bank of the United States of America controlled by the usual suspects. At that time, they were trying to come from Europe. Remember, Europe. And they were incapable. And then when he died, this guy tried again, and they succeeded eventually. And then they created after Jackal Island, the meeting, they voted on a Christmas day, I think it was, a Christmas night, Christmas morning, whatever it was, the Federal Reserve Act. Wasn't it in 1914, 15, 17, 13, 14, that area? Doesn't really matter. They voted with an empty chamber. But nevertheless, they got it. So JFK took on these guys, and those guys could not take care of Old Hickory. Is that how he was called? Andrew Jackson. But crazy like Oswald, and then Shiram. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.